back to Carly Cropsey and her crew. There's a lot of them. Let's see. The main ones are Carly Cropsey, Kylie Stomler, Mason Weimer, Cassidy Ryder, and Emma Andrews. It's a very large group, but those are the main focus, at least for now. I used to be friends with them. I used to see them pretty much every day. Honestly, at first I thought it was intentional, but honestly, I think I was only because we hung out at the same places. But I used to think highly of them. I used to think they were pretty cool people. Then over time, we started talking less and less. I figured it was just naturally like growing apart. I mean, friends do that. Friends grow apart. It's whatever. But then I overheard some conversations that I don't think they wanted me to overhear, and people were telling me things that were being said about me when I was not in the room. They were basically them, along with plenty of other people in the city, were spreading rumors about me, saying that I did shit that I never did. A couple of them were even accusing me of doing sexually inappropriate things to them without their consent. But see, when I first started this podcasting journey, I knew that there were going to be haters, and I knew that I was going to have more than most people on the internet because I knew that I was exposing bad people who were doing bad things. But I always thought that my friends would be the first ones to defend me. I would have never imagined in a million years that those girls would become part of the problem. I really didn't do anything about it. I kind of just stopped talking to them and let it happen. And then eventually they stopped talking to me entirely, didn't talk to me ever. If I saw them out in public, they would completely ignore me. And then they graduated and moved away. My mentality was, well, I guess we're not friends anymore. They kind of made that pretty fucking clear when, when I try to say hi to them and they completely ignore me. But they no longer live here, so it's nothing to stress over. Right after the Annabelle case happened, so the Annabelle case happens, right? I walk around with the doll, everyone freaks out, everyone wants me in jail, cops are up my ass. There were a lot of bad things that came from that, and it's not because I was walking around with the doll. It was because of what people did to me because they didn't like the doll. Or more specifically, they didn't like me and they were using the doll as an excuse to justify their actions. So I was under high stress pretty much 100% of the time. People were spreading rumors about me online. People were calling my phone and harassing me. Friends were cutting me off left and right, either because they were embarrassed to be my friend, because I was basically framed as some psycho mental person, or because they were getting harassed for it. It got to the point where people were going through old pictures of me, who were going through my social media, people were going through my following list. Anyone that they could find that knew me, they were being contacted and they were being harassed. So it wasn't just me, because I didn't care about the rumors that were going around. I didn't care. I didn't care that people didn't like me. I didn't even care that they sent the police after me, because I knew that I did nothing wrong. So there was no need for me to be upset or concerned. So when they saw that they couldn't break me with their direct attacks, they started attacking my friends. And probably only two, maybe three, I think it was only like two people that were dragged into the whole ordeal ended up actually still being my friends afterwards. Most people either turned against me and contributed to the problem, or they just cut me off entirely because they were getting attacked, or because they were embarrassed to be my friend. And it hurt, honestly. It definitely hurt, because these were people that I would have, if they were put into my position, I would have rushed in to defend them, or at least try to defend them, or at least do something to help them get through it. And I falsely assumed that they would do the same thing to me. I used to think having lots of friends was a strength. I thought having friends was my strength. But after this whole case, I realized that it can easily be your weakness if they turn against you or if they are then targeted to mess with you. And I learned I was 10 times stronger than everyone else. And I wouldn't say I was necessarily afraid of anyone. I mean, for fuck's sake, every other week I'm taking on full-on sororities and fraternities. I didn't have a reason to be afraid of anybody. But I was definitely on guard all the time. I was always worried that I would get attacked. I tried to stay in my house as much as possible. But, naturally you have to leave your house to go to work, to get food, to run errands. So I would leave my house, and every time I left my house, I would be concerned that I would get attacked. I was constantly watching my back. I was constantly looking over my shoulder, worried that I would get attacked by someone or a group of people. It got so intense. I was positive I was going to get jumped at some point. And I didn't get jumped, but someone did try to break into my house. I was sitting on my couch one day, and someone threw a brick right into my window. Now, the windows at Nova are like hurricane windows. They're made to resist impact. So luckily, the window didn't break. But I instantly realized that there was someone on the roof. And the first thing I did was run up to the rooftop to try and confront who it was. On my way up to the rooftop, I got on my phone, called Nova Security. And Nova Security had been helping me, but it seemed like Nova kept getting in the way and stopping them. Eventually, it got to the point where, as these attacks kept happening, Nova Security wasn't doing shit. They just didn't care. And that was one of the attacks when I told her what was going on. I don't think she even reported it, because I put in the report as I'm going upstairs. By the time I got upstairs, it was too late. Whoever was on the roof managed to scramble off of it. So after I put in my report, and she said that the receptionist said, like, we're going to help you. We're going to get someone on it. Don't worry. So I go downstairs to find the security guard on duty, and I told him what had just happened. And he said to me, I didn't get a call. He's like, I didn't get a call. He's like, nobody radioed me in, because if that actually happened, like if we actually got a call about that, the first thing they would do is they would radio me on the walkie-talkie, and they'd be like, yo, get on the roof. There's an attacker. And he's able to look in his system right now and see the reports. He didn't see a report on me. And I had just gotten off the phone with the receptionist, who told me that she had all my information and that she had put it all in, and that she had put in my report. The lady lied to me. She just said what she had to say to get me off the phone. So, as usual, I'm handling all my problems by myself, because the people that you think are there to help you with certain problems, whether it's the police or security or your apartment complex or your friends, they don't. They just watch you suffer and laugh at you. So as usual, I had to take care of shit myself. I sent an email to Nova, I was basically like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you guys? And I said, I bet you guys, I straight up accused them of orchestrating the whole thing, because I'm like, y'all have done nothing but attack me since the whole case started. I've done nothing wrong. I've tried to talk to you guys, and y'all have done nothing but attack me. I would not be surprised if, I was fully convinced with zero evidence that they had sent someone to break into my house, despite Nova claiming that they hadn't. A few days after that, a detective had called me to tell me that he had found my doll, because this is another major key point to the story. At one time when I was sitting in the lobby, some guy came in talking about how he doesn't want the doll in his... I don't think he even lived at Nova, but he was preaching about how he didn't want the doll in his lobby because he's a Christian and that doll is satanic. And I'm I'm just like, I don't care what you have to say. And before I could blink, the dude snatches my doll and takes off with it. So I called the police to report the theft. And after some time, a detective called me and told me that he had found my doll and that it was with Nova. Nova had found my doll and had decided to keep it for weeks without telling me that they had found my stolen property. So I went on an online rant about Nova and all the things that they had put me through, including possession of stolen property, which is a crime. Nova then proceeded to block my podcasting account. And then I got another call from the same detective informing me that the Nova property manager had turned the doll over to police custody, and that I now needed to, go to the station to pick it up. So I called out Nova again. Even though I was blocked, I basically called them out and said the only reason you're now taking that doll to police custody is to make yourselves look good, to make it look like I'm making something up. Literally every single time Nova did anything, or even if I had the slightest suspicion that they were about to do something, I called them out for it. Posted it online, posted it everywhere. They were now the ones under my attack. They attacked me first, and I attacked them back tenfold. They thought I was gonna get scared and crawl up into the fetal position and cower out and be the little bitch. I don't get scared. I get angry. And when I get angry, I become very dangerous. So now the script had been flipped. Now I'm attacking them for literally everything. And mind you, I actually have proof of everything that they've done. So the station's not far from my house. I just have to walk through Frenchtown to get to it. I am not afraid of Frenchtown. I'm not afraid of the hood. I've walked through it multiple times. I still do to this day. So it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was unaware that at the time that there are certain hours that you can go to pick things up from the evidence center at the police station. So I just I was walking through Frenchtown to get to the police station. And as I'm walking through Frenchtown, someone tries to full on hit me. He goes to hit me, and I was able to jump out of the way fast enough, and he hit a curb. It sounded like he damaged something on his car, but what exactly, I can't I heard a crash, but I don't know exactly what was damaged because it was at nighttime and it all happened so fast. My first thought, it was probably some hoodlum who wanted to kill me or was drunk, or niggers are stupid. I'm in the hood, niggers are stupid. At first, I just thought well, this is what I get for walking in the hood at night. But when I stood up, I saw 4 guys, all with blonde hair. They looked like your stereotypical frat bros, all in FSU merch, white as snow. I said to myself, wait a minute. These are FSU folk. And that's when I realized someone was trying to kill me. Because there's no way the FSU folk coincidentally happened to drive into Frenchtown in the middle of the night. The one neighborhood they tell you to stay out of because it's dangerous and people get attacked. FSU decides to drive in there, and then they happen to see me, and then they go, oh yeah, let's try to hit him. No, they were following me. They were intentionally trying to kill me. You can call me crazy, but it was 100% them trying to kill me. And there have been other times during that case where people have followed me around and tried to keep track of me. But that was the one time where they actually tried to do something violent to me. I didn't want to instantly point fingers and accuse Nova, although I was highly suspicious that they were the ones behind it, because I didn't have any proof, and an accusation like that could get you sued or could get you into a lot of legal trouble, and I was in enough legal trouble already. So I still called them out, and I posted online that someone was trying to kill me, and basically left it at that and didn't talk about it with anyone. And some people got concerned. Some people thought I was just running my mouth and talking bullshit. The reason I did this was actually very strategic. Because when I posted that, it stopped them in their tracks. It stopped them from a second attempt. Because if I post that and nothing happens, everyone thinks I'm crazy. But if I post that and then I actually am dead, if I do so much as commit a fucking, I could take my own life. I could commit a suicide. But if I post that and then I end up dead somehow, some way, could be totally coincidental, there's going to be a heavy investigation on as to why I thought I was going to be killed, and not too long afterwards, I'm found dead. So they stopped, almost all the attacks stopped after that. Nova stopped attacking, Florida State stopped attacking. I was initially under attack by both Florida State and Nova. I took care of Nova first. Once I got them out of the way, I then ran after Florida State. And the whole thing on Florida State, even the Nova case, because at the end of the day, Nova was being FSU's pawn in this whole game. They saw that I was living on their turf, and they thought they could use it as an opportunity to get the best of me. The reason why I now blame FSU for that, and once again, it could be Nova, but Nova's associated with FSU, so FSU is largely responsible for that, is they probably sent those guys after me, because nobody would think to go into Frenchtown or follow me into Frenchtown. And I understand that a lot of people want me dead. I'm well aware of that. I receive death threats on the regular. But nobody has the balls to actually kill me, because they would then have to face the consequences of killing me. The only people with enough resources and enough money to cover up a murder or make someone disappear would be FSU. So it was absolutely 100% them. In the fact that I have openly accused them of this already in the past, and they haven't done shit, they haven't taken any legal action whatsoever, further proves my point. Because if I was lying, or if I was crazy, and what I'm saying is completely false, and FSU had nothing to do with my attempted murder, they would have sued me into the fucking ground. And they're not doing shit. And the reason why they're not doing shit is because if they do anything, if FSU is trying their hardest to keep me out of the courtroom, because the second I do get into the courtroom, now there's going to be an investigation, there's going to be evidence, and they risk being exposed into the public eye and in front of a judge. So their best bet is to just let me say what I want to say and hope I don't go insanely viral for it. Yeah, I'm very stressed out, highly beyond stressed out. The detective who helped me find my Annabelle doll even mentioned, as I explained to him everything that was going on and what these people were putting me through, he mentioned several times that he was very surprised that I was able to remain sane. And I remember saying to him that, I guess as confirmation that I'm not crazy, because everyone was trying to frame me as a crazy person, and I knew I was not a crazy person. And then, without me even saying that to the police was like, I'm surprised you haven't gone crazy. So yeah, like that just goes to, there's so much irony with that whole case. While this was all going on, I think it was the night after the break-in. It was literally that same night Carly and her friends started prank calling me. We used to prank call each other back when we were friends, but I had, I guess, wrongly assumed that we weren't friends and stopped contacting them, but under any means, including prank calls. But they started prank calling me, and at first I didn't know who it was. I figured, because I had been getting these phone calls from people basically harassing me. But I figured out it was them because I recognized the voices they were making, and they also made the mistake of calling me with their actual phone numbers, which I then looked up and figured out that it was their phone numbers. So I had some of the girls' numbers, but I didn't have all of the girls' numbers, so I ran a couple tests, one of which was calling one of the girls' numbers that I did have. And when I called her and she picked up, she made the exact same voice of the strange number that had just called me. And so what I did is I gathered all their phone numbers and I sent it to a friend of mine. I told him he does not live in Tallahassee, but I told him what was going on and I asked if he could call these numbers to try and figure out what was going on. So he called these numbers. The girls thought that that was me calling them back. So they kept doing their little voice thing, trying to prank me. And then my friend calls me back and told me what he heard. And that's when I was able to figure out, I'm like, yep, it's them. So at first I was pissed, but I was also confused because I'm like, y'all made it very clear that y'all want absolutely nothing to do with me. Why are you now prank calling me? Like, we're not friends. Why are you prank calling me? I tried to ignore it. That didn't work. They kept calling me. So, and they were using an unknown number. It was a no caller ID. So when you get a no caller ID phone call, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't block it. You can't stop them from calling. There's literally nothing you could do. So I'm sitting in bed. I'm trying to go to sleep because I have work early in the morning. I had to be at work at like 8 o'clock in the morning or something. And it was already past 2 o'clock. So my phone is going off. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. Like, I got work in the morning. So I tried to put my phone on silent. For some reason, my phone was so off that day. I tried to put my phone on silent. My phone still rung full blast. Tried to put it on do not disturb. Didn't work either. I don't know what was wrong with my phone that night. But on the one night I needed my phone to work, my phone did not work. And my friend was like, well, why don't you just power your phone off? And I said, I can't do that because I need my alarm, because if I don't have my alarm, I'm going to oversleep and then I'm going to miss work. And I can't let that happen. Because my alarm system works so that if my phone's on do not disturb, silent, whatever, it still goes through. Do not disturb is supposed to block phone calls and normal notifications, but unless I use a specific setting, it doesn't block the alarm. If I power my phone off completely, then I'm not going to hear my alarm. I'm like, I need to keep my phone on. For 3 hours, these girls called me non-stop. And I was pissed. I was so beyond pissed off at them for it. Because I knew exactly who it was. I had confirmed exactly who it was. And I answered a couple times. Like, I tried to ignore it for so long and they wouldn't stop. I answered a couple times, tried to tell them to knock it off. That didn't work. I tried cursing them out. I told them to knock it off. I cursed them the fuck out. Literally nothing that I did or didn't do was stopping them. They just kept going for 3 whole hours straight. So I called the cops. Cops in general don't do shit. And the TPD in general doesn't do all that they should be doing. They're not the worst. I put it to you that they're not the worst police department, but they're not the best either. I'm very used to solving my own problems and taking care of shit myself, no matter what situation I'm in. You could literally point a gun to my head and I'll be more likely to try and kill you myself before I call the police. So anytime I do call the police or try to get authorities involved, it's because I am beyond pissed and the situation is beyond out of control. Now, when I used to be friends with these girls, I never prank called them nonstop for 3 hours straight, and they never did the same to me. So I don't know why they thought this was okay in the middle of the night. I called the police and I put in a harassment complaint, and they said they couldn't do anything about it till morning, and I told them, like, well, what am I supposed to do until then? And I quite literally had to just deal with it. Didn't get any sleep that night at all because my phone kept going off. In the morning time, I got out of bed with no sleep. Had to listen to my phone while ringing nonstop while I was eating my breakfast, taking my shower, getting ready for work. It had stopped for a while. Like, it was going on for 3 hours nonstop. And then it stopped for a while, and then every now and then I would get a phone call. And I would just ignore it and just keep doing what I was doing. I was fucking miserable. dealing with the whole Annabelle case, getting no sleep because of them. I was fucking furious at them because they were quite literally the reason why I got no sleep at all. So I'm driving to work, trying to listen to music. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can at least have a good ride to work, listen to some music. I'm trying to listen to music, and my music keeps getting interrupted by these girls calling me nonstop. They start calling me nonstop. And I keep trying to put my phone on silent or hang up the phone. I keep stopping to stop the phone calls, and it's no use because they just keep calling me. So eventually I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to keep going then, because if I don't, I'm gonna be late to work. And so for 10 minutes, instead of hearing my rock music, I had to listen to my phone ring from girls that I did not want to talk to non-stop. Oh my God, I was pissed. Just thinking about it makes me livid. And the cops weren't helping at all. Eventually, the cops got back to me, maybe 6 months after the whole ordeal happened. They finally got back to me. A detective called and he asked me about it. I quite literally, when he called me, I answered the phone and he's like, I'm here to call about the harassing phone complaints. And I said, oh, I forgot about that. I told my friend that what was going on. And in an effort to help me, he decided to prank call them back. He sent the numbers to multiple people, to strangers, had them contact the girls, and they started calling these numbers nonstop. And it wasn't so much because he was trying to get back at them or because it was a prank. He was trying to keep them distracted so that I could get some fucking sleep and move on with my life. While they were busy dealing with my friends, I was busy dealing with Nova's shit and trying not to go insane. Everyone was already convinced that I was. But then they keep calling me, and then they started calling my friend, so they basically countered our counterattack. They started calling him nonstop. This is another evidence, it's clear evidence that they were the ones doing it. When they were too busy to call me because they were busy dealing with my friend, suddenly the phone call stopped. The phone call stopped. The second that my friend and his friend stopped calling these girls, the phone call started back up again. You're trying to convince me that it's a coincidence that, oh, well, when your friend called these girls, suddenly these girls are not calling you anymore. So it was definitely that. But then the girls countered our counterattack. And instead of targeting me, they targeted my friends. They started calling him nonstop. And then he had the exact same problem where his phone just stopped working. Do not disturb, silent mode, nothing worked. Blocking didn't work, nothing worked at all. And he had to deal what I dealt with. The girls completely forgot about me. They were now doing what people during the whole Annabelle case were doing. What they did, they may or may not have done that because of the whole Annabelle case, but their attack was not the same thing. So I was basically fighting two battles at once. I've got the Annabelle case, and I'm also dealing with these girls. But they saw that they couldn't get me to break, so they went after my friend. And it wasn't enough that they were harassing him, and now he's stressed out because he also has a girlfriend who's getting rather irritated that a bunch of girls are calling his boyfriend. It does not make him look good in front of his girl at all. So he's stressed out. He's going insane. If that wasn't bad enough, they hacked his phone. So before we get to that part, my friend went to the police as well and put in a report, and they laughed at him and they said, why are you so worked up about a bunch of girls? And he said to them, just because they're girls doesn't mean that they cannot commit a crime. And the cops put in a report basically because he said that, but then they didn't do shit. He told them that his phone had been hacked. They tracked the IP address of the hacker, and it led them back to St. Petersburg, Florida. Where do Carly and her friends live? St. Petersburg, Florida. Like literally every hint of evidence, every clue, literally everything is pointing right back to Carly and Kylie and this one group of girls. They are 100% the ones doing it. They proceeded to call him several times, hack his phone several times. My friend had to spend money out of his own pocket and get a whole new phone just to get them the fuck out of his life. So they came after me, and then they went after him. Absolutely unbelievable. When the detective finally got back to me months later, and I told him all of which I'm telling the audience now, I explained to him, I'm like, I didn't unfriend them because of criminal reasons. I just didn't like the way I was being treated. And I would even argue that they were the ones that unfriended me, because they're the ones who started blowing me off and ignoring me until they didn't talk to me at all. And I said, one thing is being irritated with someone because they're rowdy or obnoxious or whatever. But to do something criminal, I'm not usually one to bitch about harassment or prank calls. I usually just ignore it. But to then hack my friend's phone, I was angry, and I also felt guilty because I was the one who involved him in this mess in the first place. And the cops aren't doing anything. They're saying it's because they don't have the evidence, but honestly, I think it's because cops these days are lazy and they don't like to punish girls. Because we were able to figure it out pretty quickly. And I understand that I used to know these girls, and I know some of their background and whatnot because I used to hang out with them. But if me and my friend were able to so easily figure out exactly who was doing it, how come the cops that we pay with our tax dollars can't do the same? It was 100% them. It is undeniable. I will post their phone numbers on my Instagram right now. I have the phone numbers that were repeatedly calling me. I will post those phone numbers on my Instagram right now. And you will see that those numbers are, in fact, their personal cell phone numbers. For a while, I didn't talk about things. I got into the habit of, even if I knew something for certain, I wouldn't say it publicly unless I had hardcore evidence to avoid getting sued. But it got to a point where I got so angry that I didn't care anymore. I didn't care if I got killed. I didn't care if I got thrown in jail. I didn't care if I got sued into the ground. And I still don't. I've kept that mentality. So yeah, that's why I'm on here saying the things that I'm now saying. Carly, Kylie, Mason, Cassidy, all those girls, they 100% were the ones who hacked my friend's phones and were calling me and my friend nonstop repeatedly. And at the end of the day, they're not going to take me to court because they know that they're going to lose. They know that if they take me to court and try to say that I'm spreading false accusations, I'm just going to expose them and then they're going to end up in jail. So many people threaten me with, oh, I'm going to get you arrested, and that doesn't scare me because so many of you have already put in fake reports. The police haven't arrested me because I haven't done shit. I'm not Andrew Tate, okay? I don't have a bunch of money to cover up my crimes or pay off the cops. If I did something illegal, they would arrest me. Plain and simple. I'm not famous. I'm not incredibly famous. I'm not incredibly rich. If they found me guilty of a crime and wanted to arrest me for it, there is nothing I could do to stop them. People say, oh, we're gonna beat you up. Yeah, that never fucking happens. I'm surprised it hasn't, but it never fucking does. People said they were gonna kill me. Yeah, I know that ain't happening. People say, oh, okay, well then, we're gonna sue you. You don't have proof. And then I post proof of it online and embarrass them for the whole world to see. And nobody sues me. You know why they sue me? Because they know that if they take me into court, they risk getting themselves exposed and the whole case is gonna turn around on them. So their best bet is to keep me out of the courtrooms. This is for everybody. This is Florida State. This is Nova, the fucking girls. This is even the fucking fraternities. If they're that petty to take me to court, literally everyone that I have gone after is trying so hard to keep me out of the courtroom and not get me riled up because they know that they have a target on their backs when they're on my radar, and they know that if they end up in the courtroom, they are ultimately fucked. So, we're going into the new year. I am not a product of my parents' raising. I am nothing like them at all. You know, a lot of people say that, oh, who you are as a person, especially in my young age, they try to say, oh, it's because of your upbringing. I can tell you right now, my parents despise who I am as a person. I am nothing like them at all. I grew up in a very hypocritical, very emotionally abusive household. You know, growing up, they taught me about the freedom of speech, but then they would get mad at me for saying things that could be potentially offensive because it's just something that's been ingrained in my personality. I've always had a no filter mentality. Like, I'll say something without even realizing that it could possibly be offensive. Because the thing is, the people that I hang out with, they find the shit that I say funny. And then I'm around a different crowd of people, and they find it offensive, and they want to kill me for it. I never understood the concept of, like, dude, it's a joke. Like, dude, it's a joke. Like, I never understood the concept of people getting so upset over a joke or over something that I said over fucking nothing. Hey, it was not my intention to offend you at all. Like, that is not at all my intention. But also, are you really that gullible that some stranger on the side of the street? Andrew Tate put this perfectly in his podcast today. If you allow yourself to care what other people think of you, you have already lost because they already own you. Like, say if my friend got a new pair of glasses and I would sarcastically say, ah, hey bro, nice glasses. And then he go into like, that's not funny, you know, they've been calling me names at school and I'm really insecure and you shouldn't attack me for wear contacts then, the fuck? Like it's like, damn dude, I was just poking fun at your glasses just to be funny. I thought you would laugh at my joke. I ain't threatened to beat up your mother. Like, why are you getting so affected by it? And then my parents would also teach me that men and women were equal to men, and that women could do anything men could do. But then they would tell me to hold a door open for a lady and let ladies first, all that ladies first bullshit. I never understood that whole ladies first bullshit. Why should I let you walk ahead of me just because you're a girl? We are equal after all, right? Or so we're taught. So why does it matter who walks in the door first? I'll hold the door open for you. I'll naturally hold open the door whenever there's someone behind me, regardless of their gender, because it's just a polite thing to do. But I'm not going to necessarily let you ahead of me just because you're a woman. And my parents tried to teach me, they're like, oh, if you're in line, there's a woman behind you, you let her in front of you because she's a woman. What if I'm on a time crunch? What if I got shit to do? What if 5 women get in line behind me? Now I gotta wait an extra half hour because there's 5 women behind me? Like, why do I need to treat anyone differently just because of their fucking gender? That was a foreign concept to me. And then they'd be like, oh, by the way, hitting a woman is not okay. Okay, so she attacks me. If a bitch comes up to me and attacks me, I'm supposed to just stand there and let her beat my ass? And then they change it to, well, you really shouldn't hit anyone. If someone comes up to me and physically assaults me, man or woman, I'm hitting back. Now, a man will usually punch you in your jaw. I'll punch him back. A woman will typically slap a man. If a woman slaps me across the cheek, I will break her fucking nose, and then I will go to court and claim it as self-defense. Because it is. Maybe you should teach your daughters that it is not okay to hit men. Or anyone of that matter. They're like, oh, well, you shouldn't hit anyone. Yes, I agree, you shouldn't hit anyone. That includes women slapping men across the face. So why are you now telling me that if a man punches me, it's okay to hit back, but if a woman slaps me across the face, I'm supposed to just stand there and be her little bitch? No, 100 times no. I didn't agree with that at all. I could go on for hours about how flawed my parents were in a multitude of ways, and I'm not the only one. Plenty of people hate them. Matter of fact, most people hate them because of the kind of people they are. And once I cut them off, a lot of people came clean and they told me that, like, we couldn't stand your parents, we don't like your parents, and they're like, we could tell that you were somehow the sane one out of, like, the 3 of us. And they weren't going to say anything to me before, understandably so, because, I mean, what kind of person goes up to you and says, hey, I don't like your parents, But now that they know that I don't associate with them, now people are like, we're not surprised. Like, I've had several people tell me that, like, we're not surprised. Like, we see the way they treat you, and the way that they were taking my money, and the way they treated my friends, the way they treated people in general. My dad was a fucking pedophile. I'd be going to our community pool with my then girlfriend at the time, who my parents didn't know about because they didn't want me to have a girlfriend. If it was up to them, I wouldn't have any friends at all. And then my dad would show up in his fucking Speedos, and he'd see me talking to a girl. He'd sit across the pool and fucking stare her down. I could not keep a girlfriend in my high school years, and I blame my father for that because he was such a fucking predator towards them. I knew that the time was gonna come that I was gonna cut them off, and I knew this when I was already like in my late teens. I was probably 16 or 17 when I knew that there was going to become a day that I cut them off because they were just horrible people and they were treating me horribly. They treated me as if I was a burden to them, as if I was not their child, but as if I was some robot to provide them with emotional comfort and pick up after them. They used to ground me for literally any reason they could think of. And if they couldn't think of a reason, they would make something up and send me to my room and ground me while they had sex all day. Very loudly, might I add. And I said to myself I was gonna move out at the age of 18. I said as soon as I turn 18 years old, I'm gonna move the fuck out of there. And I turned 18. And I didn't move out at 18 years old because, well, they took my money. No logical person is going to sign over an apartment to someone who just turned 18. I needed a co-signer or a guarantor, someone to say, like, basically confirm that I'm a responsible adult. And my parents would not do that. So I was ultimately fucked in that aspect. 19 years old, I'm still stuck here. At some point, it even seemed hopeless. But my goal ultimately was to move the fuck away from my parents and never talk to them again. And I think that's a big reason why I went out so much when I was 18, 19 years old, when I used to go to recess and all these clubs and I was out literally every day. I think I enjoyed socializing and meeting new people, but I think I subconsciously did it because I wanted to get the fuck out of my house. Because let me put it to you this way. I used to work nonstop. I would show up to work in the morning, stay there till nighttime. I would beg my boss for more hours because it kept me out of the house, but also because I was hoping I could save up enough money to get the fuck out of my parents' house. God forbid I had the day off or I got off early. I would go to the mall. I would go to College Town. I would go to fucking Walmart. I would go anywhere that wasn't home. And I would just lie and say I was at work. When I got off work, I would go home to drop off my shit, my uniform, change my clothes, get in an Uber, and head straight to College Town. And I would stay in College Town from 9 p.m. until 2, 3, sometimes 4 in the morning. Come home, get 2 hours of sleep, get up, get right back to work. And I was trying so hard to stay out of my house because there was no such thing as peace. They found a problem with everything. They found a problem with the movies I was watching. Like, there was one time I was trying to binge watch Star Wars, and my dad was looking over my shoulder. Mind you, my dad used to be a Star Wars kid when he was my age, but he was all like, "That's a very violent show, and they kill each other, and it's literally called Star Wars. Is that what you want to do to people? You want to fight with people? You want to start wars? You want to kill people with lasers? No. Well, then why are you watching it?" Seriously? I've always been into horror movies and shit. Oh, so you like seeing people die? You like seeing people die for entertainment? Why do you gotta attack every single thing I like? They didn't like the color black because black apparently is too negative of a color. they didn't want me wearing the color black around the house, and if they saw me hanging out with someone wearing a black hat or black shoes or driving a black car, they would try to convince me to cut that person off because wearing the color black meant that you were inherently a very evil and bad person. Yeah, I spent all my time out of the house. If I wasn't at work, I was at the mall with my headphones in watching TV on my phone because I could not watch anything in peace at my house. I couldn't even sleep in my house. I slept on a fucking air mattress my entire childhood. So yeah, the version of me that you see today is nothing like the man that they brought up. I am not at all the product of their upbringing, and I hope to never be because my parents are awful people and I want absolutely nothing to do with them. If I'm being completely honest here, sometimes I wish they were dead. I hate them that much that I have imagined their deaths repeatedly. I know that makes me a horrible person, but I do wish that they were dead. This is now the second Christmas in a row that I have spent without them, and I hope to never spend a Christmas with them again. But yeah, that tree falling on the apartment is kind of what set off a chain reaction, which was the whole point of this chapter. Because I feel like after that, it was a chain reaction after another. Like, it was like, alright, like, first the tree destroys the apartment. Then the Neil situation happened. Then I come back to Tallahassee thinking everything's fine, only to find out that everyone who I thought was my friend secretly hated me. And now they're pissed that I'm back in town. The Annabelle case happens, and Nova and FSU attack me. And now pretty much everyone that I thought was a real nigger turned out to be a fake nigger, and they've all cut me off, or they've attacked me and joined in with the crowd as if I wasn't going through enough shit. Wasn't bad enough that Carly and her girls turned into cunts. They had to come back into my life and keep me up all night while I'm already dealing with shit. Carly Lane is another perfect example. I used to talk to her literally every single day. Now she wants to throw me in jail. Now she's telling people that I'm threatening to kill her with zero context. Now she's one of my greatest enemies. Literally everything I touch turns to absolute dog shit. Going through the shit that I've been through over this year and the events that led up to what has happened this year, it has made me a very strong person, but it has also made me a very alone person. I'm glad it happened because it built character. It made me into the man that I am today. I am now the man who can conquer anything. I am now the man that the whole world can be against, and I stand there without fear. And I take down anyone who gets in my way because I was forced to do that at one point, and now it's easy work. If a time traveler gave me the option, he said, alright, you can either go back in time and you can live a perfect life where everything was fine, or you can relive everything that you just went through, I would choose the second option. I would choose the option to go back in time and go through again everything that I went to. Without the knowledge that I have now, I would go through it all again. The crazy parents, the situation with Neil, the situation with Nova, the situation with Carly, the situation with the girls who hacked my friend's phone. I would go through all of it all over again. Because every single one of those things built character and made me who I am today. And I was explaining this to someone the other day. I said, a lot of people, if they went through what I went through, they would have just crawled into a hole and died. And I didn't do that. I just got angry. I just got angry until it built up and exploded. And when it exploded, that's when progress started to happen. That's when shit started to get done. It's like people attack me thinking I'll cower down, but when they attack me, I get angry. And then when that anger gets directed at them, they then get scared, and now they're the ones under attack. And I said, I guess the moral of the story is just keep attacking me then. And then I said, I kind of feel like Spider-Man sometimes, because I know I'm saying keep attacking me, but in reality, I really don't want that to happen because it's tiring. Like, sometimes out minding my own business, doing whatever, living my life, and I keep getting these random attacks. And I'm just like, man, I'm just trying to go home. I don't want to deal with this shit. Like, if you've watched any Spider-Man movie, you know what I'm talking about. Like, he's just trying to go to school, he's just trying to get some food, and fucking Venom's attacking the city, and he's like, God damn it, like, I have a date with Mary Jane. Why does this have to happen right now? Like, that's how I feel. Like, I'm just trying to live my life sometimes, and then these attacks spawn out of nowhere. I'm like, bruh, again? Like, you know you can't beat me, so why are you even trying to attack me so viciously? Like, don't you have better things to do in your life? Please, go find something to do. Go get married. Go do anything else. Like, I don't like you. You don't like me, clearly. That's very clear. Can we just leave each other alone and forget we exist? There's a lot about me that's changed over the years. There's a lot of me that stayed the same. I've learned that the only person I can truly rely on is myself. And the only person that I can trust 100% is myself. Back during the whole tree incident, see, why is it that whenever you have a problem, more problems arise? So during the whole tree incident, I was talking to a girl at the time who was pissed off about something. The details are not that important, but basically she was really, really upset at me. I didn't know why, and I was trying to figure out why, but she wasn't really giving me any answers. She just wanted to be upset. And I was stressing out because I didn't know where I was going to end up in a week. So I ended up blocking the girl because I'm like, you know what? I wanted to make things right. I wanted to work things out with her, but I had more important shit to deal with at the time, and this girl would not stop attacking me, so I blocked her. And, you know, all this shit happened. Maybe 6 months later, a friend of hers reached out to me. And she said that, like, you know, my friend is sorry for what she did. And she wants to be your friend again. And she was hoping you'd reach back out to her. And I thought about it. I'm like, you know, a lot of time has passed since then. And I've kind of calmed down. I guess she's calmed down too. I unblocked her, opened the gates, gave her a second chance, opened the gates to be her friend again. Because I really did miss her. I thought about her quite a lot, and I felt bad for what happened. I kept replaying what had happened and thought, you know, maybe if I had said or done things differently, it wouldn't have worked out this way. Maybe if I had taken 5 minutes to talk to her, things would have turned out differently. I blamed myself entirely for the situation, even though I didn't even know what I was blaming myself for. Because I didn't know the full story. I didn't know exactly what it was that she was upset about. So I let her back in, we apologized, and then she basically never spoke to me again. Yeah, we had a couple run-ins a couple times, but every time I talked to her, she was very short. It was very clear that she did not want to talk to me. And it made me think to myself, why did you bother to go out of your way to contact me then and make things right? Like, did you have a moment of sympathy? Did you have a moment, or did you just need to clear your conscience, so you just needed to do this to make yourself, did you do this to convince yourself that you're a good person, to get it off your conscience if you even have one? Eventually she cut me off, so it was a full circle moment. I cut her off and let her back in, and then she cut me off. I may as well have kept her on my block list permanently, because that whole scenario was completely and utterly pointless. Maybe one day she'll do something that pisses me off, and then I'll get riled up, and then I'll make a podcast exposing her and sharing her name and exposing her and slandering her name and exposing all the evidence. But for now, she hasn't done anything to me, so I'm just gonna leave her alone. If she doesn't want to like me, that's fine. She doesn't have to like me. She doesn't have to like anyone she doesn't want to. I just don't understand why she went out of the way to make that contact with me if she was just gonna go back to basically acting like I never even existed in the first place. Like, I really don't understand why she went through the effort of having her friend contact me and then going through the effort of apologizing and all that shit, only to then completely disappear for good. But then again, when do women ever make sense? Anyway, that marks the end of today's episode. Thanks for listening and happy holidays, everyone. This is the Adonis Podcast.